Well, good morning, everyone. I hope your week has gone great. This morning, I'll be sharing part 5 of the DREAMER'S INK book that I wrote last year and published. And the name of it is Defining Your Dreams. And I had some stuff happen this week that changed everything. So I'm going to be able to share some things now that I couldn't share last week. And what I want to do is I want to take you through what happened to us this last year and a half, almost 2 years. And by taking you through that, hopefully it will help you define your dream. Maybe give you some answers. Maybe you're stuck in a place with this pandemic. Maybe you've lost everything. Or maybe you think you've lost everything, but God always has a plan to get us through. And so I want to share a little bit. At some point I'll go back through and I'll share my whole story. But in October of 2018, we were out in Aiken, South Carolina. And we knew we needed to leave. We had been there for 3 or 4 months. Did a lot of stuff with the homeless out there and some other places. And wrote some songs out there and actually recorded them. But we lost our truck. Things went wrong with my business that I was working for in Dallas. I was working long distance. That has helped us do the tour for the last 6-7 years. And so there we were stuck. And this family that we love out there, they had an extra room for us. And so we were there for a while. And we were thinking about going down to Sarasota, Florida. And that was at the time that the red tide all of a sudden came in real strong. And one morning, as I was waking up, I had a vision where I saw this giant angel. He was standing on South Carolina, and he had this big bow and arrow, and he pulled it back, and this arrow shot, and it landed right in Colorado. So we knew that we needed to come here. We didn't have a way here, but we got here. That's a whole story in itself. We got here without any money. Some dear friends of ours let us stay with them for a little bit too. We had our tour trailer with us. We were able to get into a hotel here, and we ended up selling the trailer. That helped us through a little bit. And then I started driving for Uber and for Lyft. And we didn't have a car, but they had a car program, a rental car program through Hertz. And so to make a long story short, the car was really expensive. It was almost $1,200 a month. And our hotel was pretty expensive too. So I was putting all these hours in. I think I averaged between 50 and 55 hours of driving every week last year up until the accident. And so I was out there driving and talking to people. I had over 4,000 riders in my car last year. And I was talking to a lot of folks, even college kids, that were on the edge of suicide. They were depressed. They didn't know what they wanted to do with their life. And I had actually 24 in my car that were on the edge of suicide. And I was praying, and I was like, Lord, what do I say to these people? I've only got a few minutes to talk to them, And so around April, he gave me a new song. He said, I want you to write Dare to Dream. And so I did. And we went out, we filmed on Pikes Peak in July, Palmer Lake, Garden of the Gods, Pulpit Rock, and some other areas around here for that video. And the Lord said, I want you to do a CD and get it out there for the new tour, and I want you to call it America Dare to Dream 2020 Tour. And so things were rocking along, I'm with my phone I can record, so as I was waiting in between rides, sometimes I was getting new songs to write. And then I'd record the melody so that I could remember it. And back in January last year, I had just written a song, and I took it up to the general manager, who's Will Atkins. And as you know, if you've seen the music, he's singing with me on my songs, and then we did one of his, and I'm singing with him on his. And as we were standing there talking about that, I got this idea for an invention. So here it is, April, May, I'm working on the CD, on the album, And I had been also working on this invention, drawing it out in Illustrator, Photoshop, putting all the details in. And so I'm working on this invention, I'm working on this new project, and in the midst of it, I wrote DREAMER'S INK. I think it was somewhere around May, and I published it. And what this is a book about dreams. How do you find your dreams? And there's a study guide in the back, and I made it so that I could, offer it to my writers, and I gave away a bunch too. People that couldn't afford them, because a lot of people that ride Lyft, they can barely pay just to get to where they're going. And so I wanted to help out as best as I could. And so here I got all these things I'm juggling, and I'm driving 55 hours a week. And then Donna, who owns Travel Leaders, Colorado Springs, had this room. She had this extra room, and she said, "Hey, would you like to come up and, do you need an office?" And I said, "Yeah, can I bring my equipment in? And I need a place to put these songs together." So I was working on the songs, and then I was also, with the new book, I was speaking at the libraries, did a couple of speaking things here at the office in the conference room. And so things were rolling along, probably putting in about 84 hours a week. And then that fateful day came, October 16th. I had just gotten some gas from Costco, and I started up through the parking lot, and there's this one intersection where there's a stop sign on each side, and I looked to the right because I was looking to the left. Bam, I got hit. And right in the midst of it, before the car even stopped, the Lord said, "I've got this." Because I'm thinking, before he said that, I was like, it's like eternity, everything just slows down in that moment. And so I realized I was hit, and I was like, oh man, how are we gonna survive now? We barely had enough to pay for the rent, to pay for the car, the gas, and then some extra to eat. But before the car stopped, he said, "I got this." And I had a gash on my thumb, and I was stunned. I've been through a motorcycle wreck, I've been through other car wrecks, I've been through things, but I didn't know what to do. I got out of the car. It's like, I know I'm supposed to I'm supposed to call somebody. With Lyft and Hertz, I didn't know who I needed to call. I didn't even know how. And so I was standing outside for about 15 minutes, and I was like, oh, Daniel's at the hotel. He's only about a mile away. I'm going to call him and have him come up here and help me. And 2 hours later, we're standing there, and they're still trying to figure out how to get the tow truck over to pick up the car. And so there went everything. Didn't have a car for 5 days. I had to take a Lyft to get to where I was going. And we just didn't know what was going to happen. Well, the Lord said, "Hey, do this album." And so I knew I needed to do it. I knew that somehow I needed to provide for us. And here I was, I couldn't even add numbers in my head. I couldn't multitask. If I was talking to you like this, I'd be talking, and then I'd lose the next word. And it's like, where did it go? I want me back. What happened to me? How can I get out there and drive when my vision's not right? And I really didn't know how bad it was until a couple of weeks later. And so all this stuff is crashing in. We have friends, and some of you are probably watching, and I want to thank you for helping us through that time financially. And you're going for your dream, and you're going and you're trying to do what the Lord's wanting you to do, and all of a sudden, Lord, why'd you let that happen? It took everything I had plus His grace to do what I did. I was driving till almost midnight some nights. That was some of the better times on the weekends and stuff. And on the weekends, I'd come up here, and nobody was here, so I could put in the drum. With this keyboard, I can put in every note to the drum track. I'd write them out on the music score in between rides. I'd have the I'd come up here, I'd record the song just real roughly, and I'd write it out note by note on the music sheets, and then I'd come up here, program, the bass drum in on one track, the snares, the tom-toms, the crash cymbals, and so on. And then I'd put a bass track on here of the drums. Then I'd come back and I'd layer in the bass guitar, the keyboard, the guitar, the saxophone if I needed to. This does sax, it does violin, and so everything that you hear on this album, with the exception of Will's song, was created on here. And so I'm going through all this, and I can't go as many hours in the day, and I'd get tired, and then the Lord put a couple in our lives to help us. And then now that invention, we're talking to a major corporation about it. Some of you have helped invest in the money it took to do the patent search and to get the patent pending, to file the paperwork and everything. And so it looks like we're very near to that coming to fruition. Every little bit helps with the tour that we're doing, because this still has to go on. So before the accident, probably back in the summer, I was thinking, well, I want to get this album out by March the 1st. That way we have it before we start going out and singing around here and touring. And I wanted to go to Washington, D.C. on the 4th of July to share this Dare to Dream song. And the accident was like, how am I ever going to do it now? Dare to Dream has been revised 3 different times. I originally wrote it. It was just with my voice. It didn't have the Star Spangled Banner or America the Beautiful on it. After we got back from on top of Pikes Peak filming there, somebody told me, a friend at the hotel, she said, well, that America the Beautiful was written on Pikes Peak. And I was like, no, I didn't know that. And then Will suggested, he said, why don't you just put an instrumental in there? And so I did, and I thought, you know what? The end of May, I filmed the stealth bomber flying over. I thought, I'm going to put the Star Spangled Banner in there too, put the stealth bomber in there, and make the song patriotic, because it's all about daring to dream. That's what America is. People come here, they give up their lives, everything, and take a chance to live their dreams. And so I wanted to focus the song on that. And so I said, hey, Will, would you sing with me on this? Because I need more than just me. And so we worked on that, we worked on it. And so I had the lyric video up there with just my voice. We did the music video. Daniel and Amanda and Andy came in and they acted for it. I wrote out the screenplay, and we got that done. I was like, but it's missing something. I need a female vocalist, and I need at least 2 other people to sing with us in the Star Spangled Banner and the America the Beautiful, because this is about America. It's not about me. I don't want just my voice in there. I wanted a children's choir as well. I wanted, but that never happened. So we had the original lyric video up, the music video up. I ended up taking that off, and we had 722 views on that alone. And so May the 1st, I got it finished. And so I put up the new music video, the new lyric video, with all of us singing. And so we got that done, and one of the songs on here is called Soldier Story. I was going down to Fort Carson quite a bit, and I talked to the soldiers. I say, how are you doing? Because there's so much suicide down there. And many of them were telling me, well, I lost my buddy. We lost this many people this week. And they were telling me their struggles and stuff. And then earlier this year, I was ministering to and counseling an ex-Navy intelligence officer, and he was going through some things. And so I was talking to him, and that night, the Lord told me, he woke me up about 3 o'clock. I said, I want you to write a new song, Soldier Story. And I'm groggy, and I'm like, Lord, I've already got enough songs. How am I going to do this all? How am I going to get all this put in there in time? And so I went back to sleep, and in and out of sleep, he gave me the whole story. And as I was waking up, I heard the words, Jesus, take the wheel. I was like, oh, that's a Carrie Underwood song. And so I was in the shower, I got out and came out, and Janice was on her computer, and she said, hey, come over here. I got a meme to share with you. You know, I don't remember anything of that other meme. I just remember the second to the last line was, Jesus, take the wheel. So I went over to the computer, I wrote out the lyrics, and then started putting the music to it. So those were the two featured songs on there, and now we have 13 on there total because I wanted each song to represent one of the original 13 colonies. And so then Will told me about one of his songs called Simple Life. I said, hey, we need to end the album with that. We need to get back to simplicity. And we went out to the Red Rocks open area and filmed him out there. We filmed all over the place here with the lyric videos, the music videos, especially during this isolation. I had Dare to Dream completed and Soldier Story. And then from March the 15th through May the 1st, we recorded 11 more songs, and I went out to all these trails and stuff and filmed because I was out here in Colorado where it's beautiful. I could get out there, and so many people were stuck in isolation. And I thought, you know what? If I can get some good lyrics out there to touch people, some good music to encourage people, and then have these wonderful trails and places here in Colorado Springs, maybe it'll encourage people to go on and go for their dreams. And my target date was May the 1st to get this album out there. And so I created all the artwork and had the CD done. I put everything on TuneCore to go streaming. It'll be on 36 streaming services and stores. It probably is there right now. They said it should be by June the 1st. So I know it's on Spotify, you can find it. The videos are on YouTube. And, you know, sometimes we don't always have the privilege of having people around us to help us. And I've been writing music for 32 years now, and it seemed like it was never going anywhere. I've got 2 albums streaming now, but they're very basic recording, you know, this one is high quality. And I went back to the Art Institute in 04 to 06 to get an associate degree in web development, multimedia, which included video, audio, and we got the sound system, we've got the studio, and the Lord just trained me. He put things in my hands. I don't know if he gave me talents that I didn't have before. My voice is better than it's ever been. It's probably one of the first times in my life I even like it. I learned how to play the keyboard. You know, I started out with the drums in high school. So it's been a process of over 32 years just with the music. I had 2 prophets in 2011 tell me separately and in different meetings. One of them didn't even know me, called me out of a crowd and said, the Lord wants you to get back to your music. I said, how can I do this, Lord? I'm working, all these hours. But he made a way. All I did was I agreed. I told Janice, I said, okay, we heard the word, let's agree. We agreed. Within 3 years, we had $10,000 worth of equipment. Stage equipment, the lights, the speakers. And I'm saying this, and I know this is long, and I'm not going to apologize for the length of this video because I need to say some things for those that need to hear. If you're going through this time and you think everything's over, if you think that God had you going for something and broken relationships and things happened and you think it's all over, it's not. All those relationships, everything you're experiencing, if you look to him, he'll give you things that you need. There is a parable of the talents in the scriptures. And the Lord's given everybody talents to use. And if you don't use them, he says he's going to take it from you and he's going to give it to somebody else. Why? Because he needs those talents to do what needs to be done to spread his kingdom, to build his kingdom, to spread the word of his love. And so I got everything, the lawsuit, the settlement, everything was finished this week. It paid for my doctor's bills, and maybe we'll have enough to get a car or a truck so that I don't have to pay for a rental car. And maybe now's the time for this to take off, to where I don't have to go do that other work. I don't know yet. See, that's the thing, that's the adventure of being in his kingdom. We don't know all the pieces. All we see is something in the distance. You know, Abraham was told, go to this place. He knew the directions, so he went. And all the stuff that happens along the way gives us muscles. It's like going down to the gym and pumping iron. Yeah, it hurts. It hurts when these muscles tear. But that's how they get stronger. That's how they get bigger. And by the way, I need to work out again because we haven't been able to do that. So I wanted to share all this because in October, it seemed like my world was gone. It seemed like, Father, I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. And in the midst of that, on December the 23rd, so 2 months later, after the accident, I wrote this song, and I want to share it with you because some of you may be going through it. I've never been through a concussion that I know of. I probably had one on when I had the motorcycle wreck, and maybe that's what wrecked that relationship because I was engaged at the time. But here's that song. I've got to breathe. There's a time when you feel, I can't get my breath, Lord. I don't know how to go on. I don't know how to get out of this. My mind is failing me. How do I make it through this? And so I've recorded it on the tracks on the computer in Adobe Audition. So all I'm going to do is take my vocal out of it. So I'll sing my vocal live, and everything else will be there.
Still I am falling. I've got to breathe. Can you hear me calling? I've got to breathe. Feels like I'm drowning. I've got to breathe. I've got to dream. I've got to dream. Don't take away my love for life. Don't crush my soul and my will to survive. Broken and dry, my journey longer, no wind in sight. If I could stand up, I'm sure I'd see beyond this storm to a peaceful sea. I've got to breathe. Still I am falling. I've got to breathe. Can you hear me calling? I've got to breathe. Feels like I'm drowning. I've got to breathe. I've got to dream. I've got to dream. Don't take away my love for life. Don't crush my soul and my will to survive. Body fades. stand against the thoughts that would make me down. I'd ever win again and finish with a shout. I've got to breathe, still I am falling. I've got to breathe, can you hear me calling? I've got to breathe, feels like I'm drowning. I've got to breathe, I've got to dream, I've got to dream. Don't take away my love or life. Don't crush my soul and my will to survive. I might be tempted to blow my race, yet I will stand up in the power of His might, and by His grace I'll shine His light. I've got to breathe, still I am falling. I've got to breathe, can you hear me calling? I've got to breathe, feels like I'm drowning. I've got to breathe, I've got to dream, I've got to dream. Don't take away my love or life. Don't crush my soul and my will to survive. I've got to breathe, I've got to dream, I've got to dream.
And you know, that song, from the time I wrote it in December till now, has helped me get through. Because I had to see beyond this storm that I was in, this place that was so dark. And the people in the hotel, they saw me and they're like, they knew what happened with the wreck. And you know, they give me these prism glasses, and I handed it to Will one day. I said, hey, look through these. And man, it just, you know, until you wear them, you don't know what's going on. And just to help me see where I could drive and keep going. And so no matter what you're going through, no matter how dismal it is. I mean, there were times we were on the road and we were sleeping in the truck because we didn't have money for a hotel room. The checks hadn't made it or something, you know, and we've been there. We've been there without a roof over us, you know. We had the vehicle, trying to sleep in a vehicle in two captain's chairs and a little bench in the back for Daniel when he's 6 feet tall, was, you know, going up to Alaska doing that, and across the United States in Tucson, and but you know, Habakkuk says, write the vision down, you know, so that you can see it, so that the angels can see it, so that others can see it, and proclaim it, keep proclaiming it, keep proclaiming the positive about it, because that dream has the seed of faith built in it, because it comes from God. The enemy wants us to go, no, it's not going to happen. You just give up, and that relationship broke, and now I can't do it because that person was supposed to go on with me. No. You know something? There was a millionaire friend of ours that we met in California. The Lord told me in a vision in Florida. He said, you go out to California, there's somebody that you need to meet. The third night that we were there, that's all the points we had at that hotel. I said, Lord, where's this guy? And then he walks in the door about 20 minutes later. He helped me get my first 2 albums out streaming. And I told him about this invention, and I said, all I need is an NDA. He said, no, if you need an NDA from me, he said, don't ever talk to me again. I was like, well, Lord, I thought you put him in our life to help us. And so that was over, and we were working on this invention, and I was like, how are we going to get this there? And then I picked up this other couple, and now we're in talks. Is it going to go through? Yeah, I believe it is. But it looked like it was all over. But see, in the parable of the talents, people were given choices. Some of them walked away, but God found a way anyway. And there's more than one person out there in the world that's going to help you get to where you're going. And on the tour, we want to bring other performers up, and we want to showcase their talents, and we want to have them share their story to their community. And then we might do a talent show. We might do open mic so that other performers can come up, so that those in the community can see what they have. And maybe, just maybe, we can change this nation and this world to where we start helping each other. Because I can't do this by myself. Sure, this part, but how do I get this out there? How do we get out there when people are wearing masks, when social isolation? The churches had drive-in services. Why can't we have drive-in concerts? Why can't we get people that have land to allow us to set up a stage and have people come out? We can do this. See, this is America. This is what the challenge was to me when the pandemic. Oh, gee, how can I get out there now? I'm telling everybody this tour is happening this year, and look where I am. Couldn't even get the album out in March. Pressure from the devil saying, you can't do this. It's not going to work. Give up. You can't even think straight. You can't even put a sentence together. You can't multitask. And get a calculator out for every time I had to figure how to make all this fit, graphic design-wise. It was frustrating. It was hard. And I'm sharing this journey with you because I care. Come on, get up. Get up again. Look up. He's got you. He's got this. Go onto my Facebook page, and I'm going to put it on my fan page as well, what I wrote last night about climbing the mountain. It's called Sometimes Life. And I felt a little bit depressed yesterday. I had this wonderful victory the day before, and then yesterday it just comes crashing in. And a friend put the Logical song by Supertramp up on their wall, and I went over there, and it's like, that's what I used to do in my teens. Who am I? Why are we all here? And it started a journey. And then Foreigner. What is love? What is love for? Where, that wasn't the title of it because I don't remember it right now. I got to know what love is. That song is still being played. Songs from the 70s, the cries of their hearts are still being heard. Something that has changed in our music, but those cries are still there because that's where people are now. And if we don't get out there and show them the hope, suicide has risen to enormous amounts of what they're projecting between 75,000 and 150,000 suicides during this pandemic. That's more than this thing is killing. Come on, folks. We got to be there for each other. We got to let the fear be gone and know that God's got this. So I'm begging you, I'm pleading with you, throw away the depression, crush it. It says, put on a garment of praise for a spirit of heaviness. That heaviness, that depression that's depressing you, get it off. And then ask him, what do you want me to do, Father? What do you want me to do this hour, this moment, today? And then do it. And then tomorrow do the same thing. Knowing that he's got this. He's putting this all together. If you want to help with the tour, if you want to help with bookings, if you have a place, we're coming. I'll come. I'll bring the soundtracks and I'll sing to it. You know, working on practicing to do more. But this has been a hard journey. Grace to you, grace to me, grace to all of us. We'll get through this. We'll make it. So God bless you. I hope this blesses you. I hope that it challenges you to get up, to pick yourself up if you're flat face down in the mud, to wipe yourself off and go, Lord, I'm here. What do you want me to do? Text me, write me. I'll answer it when I can. But let's help each other, okay? Remember, he's got this. God bless you. And hopefully next week I can do part 6. Here's to you, the American Dare to Dream 2020 tour. I hope to see you out on the road.